let's start. So this is Witnet sprint review number 38. Again, as last time, we are doing this on Thursday while we do this normally on Friday because tomorrow is a bank holiday and some of the devs will not be available. The sprint goals were divided in 4 main sections. The first one is the Witnet improvement proposals, which are these documents that the Witnet community use to gather feedback and request for comments on new features and new changes in the protocol. And this is important for everyone to be aware of, because this allows to gather the interests of everyone in the community, so that we make sure that the devs are not introducing things that could be bad for node operators, for requesters, and so on. So we are working on 2 different Witnet improvement proposals. One is about the coexistence of BLS and other signature keys and inside the system. This is super important for the viability of the bridge with Ethereum. And the other is about BLS signatures propagation aggregation. It's related to the other one, but both work together. In the node,
we forgot to share the slides. Sorry.
Wow. Thank you, Mario. So, sorry for that. In the node, the goals were starting with implementation of BLS signatures, which are basically for enabling the bridge with Ethereum, and supporting server blocks, which is related to that. They will explain shortly. In Sheikah, making a new design and start implementing the new view for the data request editor, using also make use of the new features in the wallet server. Give me 1 second. And discussing the cleaning process and what will be bundled into the Sheikah release that will be that the users will be downloading for claiming their tokens with view to the token generation event, which will hopefully happen as soon as possible. And in the smart contracts area, we wanted to work on fixing and mitigating all the issues that were brought by the security auditors, the external security auditors, that they provided a great report on a series of issues, and we wanted to work on that. Thomas?
The main goals for this sprint for Sheikah were rethink the data request editor and its flow. This means we have designed a completely new data request editor to be more consistent to the new Sheikah style. And we also have started implementing this design, and we have been working mainly in the toolbar, the operator, and its arguments components. We also have set the basic layout for the different stages of the editor, and we have achieved implemented the full source and script states. And on the other hand, we also have start using the wallet subscriptions instead pulling the data constantly from the wallet.
Please.
Okay, as Adam said before, in this sprint, we have implemented the BLS signature support in the node, and also the creation of the super block structure, which resumes the data request and channel information that happened during a super block period. These two features are needed to ensure that the security and the trustlessness properties of Witnet will be related to the bridge with other blockchains like Ethereum. We included a new key method to report the mining stats of the node, like the blocks mining, the data requests that you participate, etc. And we have under review the part of the broadcasting and forwarding, that's superblocks, and an improvement for the collateral feature that reduces the memory footprint that it has been one of the biggest problems in the testnet 8. As soon as this issue is merged, we can have the new testnet 8.1 in the next week. And also, one idea provided by one of the Witnet community members, Igor, to allow a secondary address in the main transaction is under review. So we'll have it in the next testnet also.
So that's for if I understand right, that's for splitting the rewards between your node and some other address, right? Maybe your wallet or something like that. That's useful.
in the main transaction that is produced when you create a new block, instead of the reward is going to the one to the address of the node. Now you can split in the percentage that you choose between the node address and another address, an external address that you choose. Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so about smart contracts, in this sprint we started working on BLS in Solidity. We work on a library that is like a first step for having a decentralized block relay that will verify BLS signatures. Then, as Adan mentioned before, we received the auditor's report with the vulnerabilities that they found. So we work on that. In particular, we applied some gas optimization. And in this table here, you can find the issues ordered by impact level. And about the critical and high level issues, we fixed all of them. And we left some issues that were lower informative that we consider were out of scope.
The area of research. So we several months ago, we implemented a BLS signature library in Rust, and we actually needed to not only maintain it, but to improve it to fit the necessities of the nodes now that they're gonna use it. So we made several improvements in terms of efficiency and feature like capabilities as well. And at the same time, we worked on two Witnet improvement proposals, which were very tied to what has been implemented in the node. The first one is the coexistence of BLS keys and CP256K1 keys. So basically, because we need both of them as they have different purposes on the Witnet chain. And the other Witnet improvement proposal that we have been working on is the superblock generation, which basically, as my colleagues have explained, allows us to generate superblocks instead every X number of blocks, thus reducing the cost of verification. And also we worked on defining how BLS signatures need to be aggregated and by which actor in the Witnet chain. These Witnet improvement proposals are public, and of course we would love to gather feedback on them, and every discussion on them also is welcome at our Discord channel, the general, and we'll be carefully listening to your suggestions.
Okay, regarding the activity summary of the sprint, again, we have a really ambitious sprint. We target to do around 190 story points. We completed most of them, having in mind that there are a big amount in progress and under review. What was left out of the sprint because of some impediments we'll tell later are the bundle of Sheikah for the token generation event. It means deciding what should be inside of the bundle of the release. and some minor design from Sheikah style in the spinner. Then in progress, there are still some issues about the superblock, as Luis mentioned before, that are almost finished. And in under review, there are small issues. One is a pull request for mitigating one of the security vulnerabilities from the audit report, that is the replay proof of inclusion attack, and then some minor issues regarding the Sheikah's editor. And the impediments, why we weren't able to cope with all the story points is because, first of all, we had a broken testnet that we had to review and do an assessment about why it was broken, and some new issues arise, and we have to deal with them, and they were not estimated in the sprint. Then all the issues regarding the security audit were not included in the sprint scope, so we managed to fix most of them. And finally, we saw there were a lot of BLS ongoing discussions, because it's a lot of uncertainty. There are a lot of moving pieces regarding BLS and how to implement it in the node and in the bridge. And it took us a lot of discussion and time how to design this. The results, they can be seen, for example, in the WIP that it's published. And that's why we have this image. We open a can of worms. Okay.
So communication and outreach. We have a new YouTube interview between Adan and Tom Heavey, who's a YouTube crypto influencer. You can watch that on his channel. So that's youtube.com/c/Tom Heavey investing. We also have phase 2 planning is in its final stages of negotiation and legal audit. So there'll be an announcement in this upcoming sprint in the next few weeks. So keep an eye out for that. As you may know from the emails, phase 1 closes tomorrow. That's Friday the 15th at 11:30 Universal Coordinated Time. So if you get those final submissions in to add your points up, because we won't be accepting any submissions after 11:30 tomorrow. We're also doing a full documentation repo audit in the next few weeks. I've started already, so let me know, get in touch with me if you want to help out with that, or if you have any ideas for how we, how you think the documentation should be laid out.
So now we will be doing a demo of the new design of the data request editor in Sheikah. Just give me a second for swapping my screen.
Okay. Well, as I said before, we made a complete redesign of the editor. The main reason to do that was simplify it and make the process of compose a data request more intuitive, or in other words, to improve the user experience of create data request. And here in the first view, this is the template list where you will be able to import and create new data requests. And From here, you will be redirected to the editor. And in the editor, here you are, in the editor, you are able to add your sources or the, sorry, in the editor, you are able to create the sources you want to use at the data entry points. For your data request, you can specify the protocol, the URL, and the content type that the API is going to give. And in the next stage, you can compose. In the next stage, you will be able to add the operators or for the sources you have just defined in the previous step, and you will get the result of each operator and the information of its operator in real time. And this will be a completely new thing. This will be facilitate a lot the way you create or compose data request. And from here, you can go to specify the aggregator script. And here, as you know, the data will be merged in this script. And here you can specify the operators are going to be applied in the pipeline of functions, and you will also be able to see the result of its operator. And finally, in the tally is pretty similar than the aggregation, and you can also specify any operators and also see the result. Moreover, you can define the basic information for the template. You can specify a title or the description that this will be information that you could use, for example, to deploy it into a marketplace template. And you also can specify the variables that you want to use along the data request.
Nice, because everyone, like everything is now explained here, no? Right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we thought that were not too clear. And in the previous design, you saw a lot of information that is not clear, and you can't see, or if it's the first time you see the editor, maybe you couldn't complete the process. And the main goal for this redesign was to simplify it a lot and to be more intuitive, create a data request. And now I think you don't need to know all the things that are happening behind the scenes in Witnet to be able to compose a data request.
Cool. I think it's time for questions and answers. Maybe we have some questions on the YouTube chat. Hi, Igor. Hi, the hero. Hi, Carla. So Igor said that Ethereum 2.0 is delayed due to BLS standardization process. Yeah, standardizing like crypto protocols and cryptographic primitives is never easy, and it takes time. Yeah. The thing is that right now what we are using for BLS, if I'm not wrong, is totally compatible with the sort of BLS signatures that are implemented right now on Ethereum 1.0. So we are working with way less uncertainty, and we are also getting prepared for the future, because in the way that we are implementing it is a very like overlay feature that works on top of the Witnet protocol, but it's not totally entangled with it. So at any time we can add more different cryptographic curves. We can add support for whatever mechanism they use for BLS in Ethereum 2.0 in the future. So that's something that like a firewall that we have built not to be exposed to the same uncertainty as they are. So more questions.
So Igor says, if I've been accepted for testnet phase 1, should I apply for phase 2, or am I automatically in? We will be sending all phase 1 participants an email encouraging and inviting you to participate in phase 2. However, there are slightly different terms and conditions and restrictions, especially around US participants. But don't worry, we'll let you know, and we'll be sure to email every one of you.
Yeah. Igor said that he likes the interactive way of building data requests. This is something that we wanted to do from the very beginning, and we started soon to build it, but it's been a long way to get it to the point where we have it right now, in which we think we have something that is clear enough for anyone to get started with creating data requests without having to deal with writing actual code, let's say. The main challenge with this was like finding some references with regards to what kind of UI we needed to use, because the scripts in data requests are totally linear. So it doesn't really feels like writing code in which you have loops and for and conditionals and a lot of control structures that doesn't exist in Radon in the language that Witnet scripts are written. So it's rather like a sequence of operators, and we needed to find a visual language for representing that. That was clear enough about the fact that anytime you add a new operator in your script, you are basically operating on the output of the previous operator and getting a new result that could have a different type and so on. And that was one main challenge. The other one was about how to incorporate real-time feedback on whether on whether the sequence of operators that I'm creating actually is doing what I expect it to do. Because what should never happen is that I create a script in a data request and I think it's good enough and I deploy the data request and then it resolves incorrectly. So what we are making a lot of effort on right now is on making sure that by the time you deploy the data request, you can rest assured that it will most likely be correct for the kind of response that you are getting from your data sources. Do you have more questions? Maybe on Telegram? No. Okay, if you have any other questions, feel free to write it on Discord, on Telegram. Any of the developers or anyone in the community will be happy to help. Thanks for attending to this meeting. As always, you know that we like to finish with some laughs. So here are the memes. Yeah, about the meme in the right side, as Luis explained, testnet date was broken basically by a series of factors that were very determined by the fact that implementing collaterals. When we implemented collaterals, we introduced some changes that made the node have a much bigger memory footprint. So that's why it's important for everyone to take a look at the Witnet improvement proposals, and it's important that we get feedback from very different personas in the community, because each of them can better understand what their priorities are, what are their pain points, and so on. And if we don't have feedback, real-time feedback, early feedback on the changes that we introduce, that we always introduce them willing to make the software better and willing to make to come with a stronger mainnet release in the coming months. But we are so focused on shipping new features and making the software more stable that we could, without the input from the node operators, for example, we could be missing something that is important for them. So please take a look at the Witnet improvement proposals. They are not code, they are written in English for everyone to understand what's being worked on.
See that the spoiler of the
Yeah, it looks like we are having lots of fun with breaking our own software, but this is totally the time for breaking it. Yeah. My God. Yeah, it's actually cool that Chainlink this week made a lot of noise, speaking about the good things about verifiable random functions and how useful they are, and how interesting their properties are, because as you may know, verifiable random function is a key cryptographic primitive in how Witnet works, in how the consensus algorithm works, in how the distribution of tasks among the multiple nodes in the network is working. So it's cool that they are supporting our effort to get this new cryptographic tool to the public, which is great. Lol. So thanks for watching. Next sprint, I think we will be able to do the sprint review on Friday, as usually. And thanks everyone. Thanks everyone in the community for your continuous support, for your enthusiasm, and see you again soon.